Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 24 hours, the day the earth itself feels like it's cracking open from the mountains of Afghanistan, where a shallow M6.0 earthquake just ripped entire cities to rubble and left thousands dead, to the Pacific Ring of Fire, where volcanoes are blasting fountains of lava into the sky and earthquakes are pounding one after another. It almost feels like the whole planet, the entire world, is trembling all at once. Now, folks, this isn't just another disaster headline. This is a chain reaction of destruction, the likes of which we haven't seen in decades. Families in Afghanistan buried under collapsed homes. Desperate rescuers are clawing through rubble with their bare hands. Meanwhile, across the ocean, lava is erupting 300 feet high in the sky from Hawaii's Kīlauea, and the quakes they keep spreading from Alaska to Ecuador to the Philippines, guys. Now, the question I have to ask you is this. Is this just nature running its course? Or is there something bigger at play? Is the sun's violent activity shaking our planet? Or are these the birth pains of something much bigger, much darker? Stick with me, guys, because tonight we're going to dive into the full scope of what's happening right now, the deaths, the eruptions, the science, the warnings, and what it all means for a world that's already on edge. All right, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. The earth is trembling. The ring of fire is erupting. And the very question that we all have to ask right now is, how much more can our planet take before the next catastrophe hits? Well, today, President Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, while he pushes forward with rebuilding America's strength, it kind of feels like the very earth beneath our feet is unraveling. Earthquakes are ripping open cities. Volcanoes they're blasting fire into the sky. The death tolls are mounting by the hour. We are living in a moment where the ground is shaking across the continents at the same time. From Asia to the Americas, the world is trembling, and people everywhere are asking similar questions. All are very concerning. Is this just nature that we're experiencing, or is there something far bigger at play here? Now, the question is that question more heartbreaking than right now in Afghanistan? In the city of Halabad, Afghanistan, a shallow magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck with devastating force. Shallow quakes actually hit the hardest, and this one ruptured just 8 kilometers below the surface. More than 800 lives already confirmed lost. The toll is expected to push way past 1,000, over 2,000 men, women, and children injured, and entire districts have been reduced down to rubble. Now imagine this. Families asleep in their homes, jolted awake in darkness, the walls collapsing before they even had a chance to stand up. Mud, brick, and clay buildings offer no protection. They become death traps. Victims buried inside alive as neighbors and rescuers are trying to claw through the rubble with their bare hands to attempt to save them. It's not just the numbers, though, guys. This is a city of 200,000 people where entire neighborhoods now resemble war zones. I know we're talking about Afghanistan here, but the quake struck at night, amplifying fear and the panic, leaving survivors traumatized in the streets, while aftershocks continue to loom. Now, do you know who loses the most in Medicare? It's not the people who get the bad news. It's the silent ones, the ones who never ask, never check, and eventually never even realize how much they're losing until it's gone. Well, this is exactly why I partner with Chapter. They make sure that you're not one of the silent losers. Here's the truth, guys. Most people, they don't stay silent anymore. In fact, they're asking questions, they're getting answers, and they're calling Chapter. So let me ask, are you going to stay quiet, or are you going to do what most people are already doing? Most people are calling the number at the bottom of your screen right there, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. The phone number is 909-563-8279. And of course, it is a completely free phone call for the Ron Yates community. So take full advantage of it and do not get taken advantage of. So guys, the nightmare didn't end when the first quake struck Afghanistan. In fact, the earth kept shaking within hours. Not one, but 2 aftershocks hit the same fragile region, both measuring 5.2 on the Richter scale. Now, for the people of Halabad, these weren't just aftershocks. In fact, they were fresh reminders that the ground beneath them is no longer safe. Now, imagine surviving the first collapse of your home, pulling your family into the streets, only to feel the earth rumble again and wonder if another building is going to come crashing down. Now, parents clutching their children, terrified to step back inside. Entire families are now asleep outside, and they're exposed to the elements because the fear of being buried alive inside their homes outweighs the cold night air. And so this region is not just prone to earthquakes, it's a powder keg of natural disasters. The mountains, they make every tremor that much more dangerous. Rocks fall, they can bury entire roads, landslides can wipe out villages in seconds, river valleys filled with loose sediment risk liquefaction, turning solid rock into quicksand. It's scary out there. Now, if you add this to the memory of the deadly flash floods that tore through the same area in late 2024, and well, you see exactly why survivors are saying that they feel cursed. Frankly, trapped in a cycle of catastrophe after catastrophe. And the aftershocks may technically be smaller than the initial quake, but for the people who are living there, each one of these aftershocks feels like the end of the world. And of course, the cruel truth is no one can say that they'll stop. Actually, they may just continue. And so as Afghanistan reels, look at what's happening across the Pacific Rim. It's as if the entire ring of fire has been set ablaze. Up north in Alaska, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake just rocked the Aleutian Islands, followed by a 5.8 that rattled nerves even further. Now, for hours, coastal towns brace for tsunami warnings that thankfully never materialized this time. But history tells us it only takes one big, huge wave to turn fear into devastation. Thousands of miles away in South America, Ecuador was struck by a 5.3, jolting cities and sending people rushing into the streets. In the Philippines, a 4.5 earthquake rippled across towns near Tangdang and felt by thousands as a deep, unsettling vibration beneath their feet. It's wild, okay? Absolutely unsettling. And let's not even forget Russia and Japan, where an 8.8 mega quake off just weeks ago reminded the world just how violent this region can explode. And so what makes this so alarming is that it's not just the size of the earthquakes, but the timing. Within a 24 to 48 hour window, we saw Alaska, Ecuador, the Philippines, and Afghanistan all hit. 4 corners of the Pacific, all trembling in unison. So when you map it out, the pattern looks chilling. Red dots lighting up around the ring of fire, kind of like warning signals of the Earth's dashboard. Now, for scientists, this is a once-in-a-generation surge of seismic activity. For ordinary people, it's complete chaos. Families are shaken up. Awake in Manila, fishermen in Ecuador are abandoning their boats, fearing a tsunami is coming. Alaskan residents, they're watching shelves rattle in their homes. Millions of people are living with the exact same gnawing question. When will the next one strike? And so the truth is, no one can really answer that question. All we know is that the Ring of Fire, home to 75% of the world's active volcanoes and 90% of the world's earthquakes, it's awake. It's not going to be going back to sleep anytime soon. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. So as if the earthquakes were not enough to shake our nerves, now that the earth is literally spitting fire 300 feet up in the air, in Hawaii, Kīlauea has erupted once again. And not just with a small puff of smoke. No, this is the 32nd eruption since December of 2024, and it's violent. Lava is shooting up 330 feet in the sky, glowing red against the night, kind of like a giant torch lighting the Pacific. It is wild. Residents nearby are describing the ground rumbling like a freight train. The air is filling with this sharp sting of sulfur, and fountains of molten rock are lighting up the darkness. But Kīlauea it's only the beginning. Across the Ring of Fire, volcanoes are waking up, ash columns are rising over Central America, plumes are drifting over the Pacific. Scientists are tracking these eruptions, but the data points are stacking up way too quickly to even keep up. Imagine looking at the map, dozens of volcanoes from Alaska all the way down through South America, across to Japan and the Philippines, marked as active or erupting within the last 24 hours. It kind of looks less like a scientific chart and more like a warning flare from the planet itself. Now, the symbolism is absolutely chilling, guys. On the one side of the world, families in Afghanistan, they're clawing back through rubble. They're searching for survivors of a shallow quake. But on the other side, lava surges skyward in the fiery fountains, guys. In entirely different disasters, yet they're both born from the same relentless planet. And so it's not just the spectacle. Volcanic ash, ground flights, lava flows are cutting off highways, crops are poisoned by the toxic fallout. What started as a natural eruption quickly becomes a human crisis. And when you connect these dots across the globe, Afghanistan buried, Hawaii's burning, it paints a picture that it's almost impossible to ignore. The earth isn't just trembling, the earth is raging. And so here's the multi-million-dollar question. Why now? Why all at once? Well, the scientific explanation points to the sun. Right now, solar activity is raging. Coronal mass injections, solar flares, bursts of plasma racing through space and colliding with Earth's magnetic field. Now, some geologists are believing that this energy is putting stress on tectonic plates, triggering quakes and fueling volcanic unrest. The timing fits. Spikes in solar storms, spikes in seismic activity, but that's not the only explanation that's on the table. Others say this is simply the Pacific Ring of Fire doing what it has always done, cycling through periods of relative calm, followed by bursts of violence. Now, to them, what we're seeing now is nature's rhythm, unpredictable, but inevitable. So then, of course, there are the darker theories. People writing me, messaging me saying, hey, this isn't natural. This is man-made. Now, talk about underground nuclear testing shaking the earth. There's whispers of weather manipulation programs that are going wrong. And of course, perhaps the most settling of all, it's the belief among millions of people that these aren't random quakes at all, but they're warnings, they're birth pains, they're signs from God that something greater is about to unfold. Everywhere I look, I see the same divide. Scientists with their graphs, citizens with their fears, believers with their prophecies, and all of them, for once, they're pointing to the same conclusion. The world is trembling harder and more often than it has in our lifetime. So is it just the sun? Is it the tectonic destiny? Or is it something that we were never meant to tamper with? Whatever the cause is, the effect is undeniable. More quakes, more eruptions, more chaos, and it leaves us asking the question that nobody can really answer. What happens if the next one isn't a 6 or a 7? What if it's a 9 magnitude earthquake, right? Now, in Afghanistan, the human cost is staggering. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Medical tents are spilling into the streets. Families search through rubble for missing loved ones. Children are crying out for parents who may never return. The United Nations has released emergency funds, but Afghanistan's isolation means aid is crawling in far too slowly. Trucks of supplies are delayed, helicopters can't reach remote valleys, and survivors are left with nothing but scraps of food and broken shelters. Now, if you compare that to what happens in wealthier nations, in California, the 2014 Napa quake, same magnitude, a 6.0, it caused billions in property damage, but very few deaths. Stronger buildings, faster rescue, better infrastructure. But in Afghanistan, you had mud brick homes crumbling instantly, and thousands paid the price with their lives. Now, President Trump has ordered U.S. agencies to monitor the global fallout closely, tsunami risk, supply chain disruptions, potential refugee crises. America cannot ignore the ripple effects of these quakes. But for Afghan families tonight, survival's it's not about geopolitics. It's about finding clean water, a safe roof, and burying their dead with dignity. Now, step back just for a second. And the pattern it's terrifying. I mean, Haiti in 2010, Nepal in 2015, Fukushima in 2011, disasters that once defined decades are starting to pile up within days of each other. If you think about it, Afghanistan is in ruins. Pacific is shaking from Alaska to Ecuador to Japan. Volcanoes firing in Hawaii. It's not just a quake here or an eruption there. It's happening all at once. So ask yourself, is the earth entering a new phase of instability? Is this the loudest tremble of our lifetime? A warning that the ground beneath us is far less stable than we ever believed? Because right now, in September 2025, it feels like the earth itself is breaking apart. And every new day brings a new headline, another quake, another eruption, another community on its knees. So here we are, guys, September 2025, Afghanistan buried in rubble, thousands are dead, and a nation is crying out for help. Now, at the same time, the Pacific Ring of Fire is exploding. Earthquakes from Alaska to Ecuador, lava blasting skyward in Hawaii, and the ground trembling in places that thought that they were safe. This isn't just one disaster. This is a chain reaction. This is a planet-wide alarm bell. And the question that we all have to face is simple, but it's terrifying. Is this a passing storm? Or is this the beginning of something far more dangerous? Because make no mistake, aftershocks are still coming, volcanoes are still erupting, and scientists warn that the next quake could strike anywhere, at any time, at any moment. The earth is cracking wide open, and none of us can predict what tomorrow's headline is going to be. So stay alert, pray for the victims, and don't look away because the story of this trembling planet is only just beginning.